Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
If you've ever dreamed of quitting your job to take your side hustle full-time, listen up. This is Nicaila Matthews-Okome, host of Side Hustle Pro, a podcast that helps you build and grow from passion project to profitable business. Every week, you'll hear from guests just like you who wanted to start a business on the side.
If you can't run a side hustle, you can't run a business.
They share real tips.
And so I started connecting with all these people on LinkedIn, and I saw Target Supplier Diversity was having office hours.
Real advice.
Procrastination is the easiest form of resistance.
And the actual strategies they use to turn their side hustle into their main hustle.
Getting back in touch with your tangible cash and sitting down and learning to give your money a job, like it changes something.
Check out Side Hustle Pro every week on your favorite podcast app and YouTube.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com. Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, you know, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
All right, we are live, sir.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Movie in the Pod. My name is Clyde Smith.
I'm Javier Villalobos.
And today we are reviewing the movie that is dropped on Netflix, Outside the Wire. Javi, who's this movie starring?
We have Anthony Mackie as Captain Leo and Damson Idris as Lieutenant Thomas Harp.
Oh yeah, so those are our two main stars. We have a lot of good supporting cast in this movie. Just once again, this came out just a couple of Fridays ago. This is directed by Michael Hallstrom. Let's dive right in, Javi.
Fair warning, this movie has F-bombs, F-bombs, F-bombs through the whole thing. So basically, just to sum up real quick at the beginning, the movie's about a Marine android who hunts down terrorists. This is going down during a Russian civil war, and he gets help from a drone pilot, and they save the world.
Oh, yeah. So this movie takes place in the future, the near future from here, 2036. There's a violent civil war in Europe. There's U.S. troops that are stationed outside the wire. You'll hear that term a lot. And there's a ruthless crime lord called Victor Koval. Basically, he's a ghost. Nobody can find this guy. Nobody can see this guy. The U.S. military has created these robotic soldiers called Gumps. This just drops us, the start scene, drops us right into a war zone. Javi, go ahead and take us in.
So we have a Marine team that is on their mission. They're making their way into this kind of little industrial complex. Immediately, they're ambushed. We see deployment of Gumps, which as class, they're basically machine soldiers that fight alongside the Marines. So we got one Marine that's under fire. Another Marine goes out to try to help him. He ends up getting pinned down. And Rattlesnake, which is Master Sergeant Miller, is trying to get to them to pull them out of that crossfire they're in.
And then we goes back to just seeing, this is a very loud guns, death, melting ass everywhere. And we go back and we go to just like very quiet room, and there's these young military men and women behind these computers, and we see this young man, and he's watching over what's going on the ground in Europe. He's eating gummy bears, so he's relaxing, chilling, and just acting as Overwatch. He sees this van, this truck coming up with all these more insurgents And so he calls up to the chain of command to ask for a drone strike.
Rattlesnake is on the ground, tell him to abort, do not, confirm that order. He wants to get his guys out of there, goes back and forth a couple of times, and Harp is saying, you got 2 men pinned down, but if that truck is a missile launcher, we're going to lose all 40. I'd rather save 38 than lose 40. So he takes it on his own judgment. He sends out this DA-1 missile off the rail and hits the unconfirmed missile launcher truck. That explodes. It kills the 2 Marines that were pinned down and destroys some of the Gumps as well.
So he makes this move, sends in that drone strike, takes out the truck, kills the 2 men, 2 U.S. military men, and right after he releases that drone, you can tell on Harp's face that he feels really somber. He walks out of the control room where he just dropped that, and you can see that he's in some type of trailer, and on the bottom of the screen it reads that he's at an Air Force base in Nevada, and he is just really sad at what he just did.
Well, I think he's sad, but he's also understands that he did what he thought was the right call. He did kill 2 Marines, but he also saved 38 people. So after that, Harp's put in front of a Marine council, if you will. He's telling them, the same thing he was telling the Rattlesnake. I saved 38 people. I didn't lose 40. They don't believe, he gave anybody a decision to save those 2 guys. So they sent him to Camp Nathaniel.
And during this military council, one of his commanding officers asked him, have you ever been in live combat up close? And he says no. And then they hand him his next assignment, and that is to Camp Nathaniel. He's walking away. He's talking to his close commanding officer. His close commanding officer said, you could have been court-martialed. That's right. What I'm thinking. And, he's actually saved. He disobeyed a direct order. Instead of being court-martialed, you're going here.
And we can kind of tell Harp has an issue with the respect some of these upper commanders are supposed to be getting with the sirs and the title calls and all that. At this point, I start seeing that. So he arrives at Camp Nathaniel. They drop him off. He comes out. We come out to a rainy base later in the day. The Marines that got off the transport are getting scanned by the Gumps. The commanding officer says, look them right in the eye. Don't you hesitate. They can smell fear. They're already getting hazed a little bit as they're coming through. Harp makes it to Colonel Eckhart, who he was told to see by one of the other Marines. He gets to Colonel Eckhart, and he's asking about, where can I find Captain Leo? That's who I've been assigned to.
So they have a little moment and understanding, and Eckhart kind of picks fun at him, knows exactly who he is, knows exactly why he's there. Then Eckhart just tells him to follow the music. That's how you can find Captain Leo. And as Harp is walking away, Eckhart yells and says, he's not like us.
While Harp's making his way through the base trying to get to where Captain Leo's at, we go through our first real sighting of the Gump units. They're on their charging stations, and he's looking around at, the equipment that's used to get these things going. So he gets to Captain Leo. He's hearing music playing. He's got some classical music playing in the background. And we see Anthony Mackie sitting at his desk, typing some sort of letter.
Mr. Cut the check. So before we go any farther, man, Anthony Mackie, definitely one of my favorite actors, still up and coming, right? He's still young, but he's been in everything. 8 Mile,
oh yeah,
all the way up to the Marvel movies, and then doing big things like this through Netflix. Anthony Mackie is a actor, entertainer that is here to stay. So great that he's in this movie.
Oh yeah. So they start exchanging some conversation, and Leo already knows everything about Harp.
Every damn thing.
Calls out his fiance, calls out them being planning their wedding, and all his stats, his kill stats, all his percentages as far as completing his missions, everything.
You learn very quickly that Leo is a sharp guy, very, very smart, highly intelligent, knows his shit.
Leo immediately starts explaining to Harp that they got a mission to get on. They got to deliver some vaccines to a refugee camp, which has a medical facility inside of it as well.
Yeah, this medical facility is outside the wire. I told y'all we were going to hear this more than one time.
You said the thing. You said it.
But also Leo jumps in and starts explaining what his job is, right? He is a captain, but his job is ultimately to hunt and find insurgents to ultimately stop this war. There's one war going on between these two factions in Europe, but Leo's smaller war, more quiet war, is to hunt down the ones who are responsible for the overall war.
So they head down to a locker room where they're getting basically suited up to go out on this mission. Harp just got there. Leo says, right now, this is time for our mission. Their locker room hands them some clothes. They start getting changed. And Harp's telling Leo, I don't have any specialist training as a field agent. Leo looks over and says, don't worry, I'm special enough. And as he's walking away from him, he shows him his android body. He makes his skin disappear to show him his insides.
And it's this cyberkinetic, there's wires and electrical going everywhere. It's actually a really cool special effects visual. And on Leo's body, he can make it disappear and make it reappear like his skin, so you can see the overlay. It's a really cool scene. And off the bat, Harp freaks out like, who the F are you? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, the Leo says, what the F, Captain? And he explains to him that he's a fourth gen biotech. And he asks him, do you trust me? Take a minute or you got a few minutes to let this sink in, and then you need to get over it, basically is what he's telling him.
I love this scene, actually, because after Harp is freaking out, he basically says, I'm this biotech android weapon the military has produced. You have 60 seconds to deal with it, okay? Like, you're giving me 60 whole seconds to deal with it. I'm talking to a robot right now who's already cussed me out. All right, let's go.
Yeah, he says, do you trust me? He says, yes, I trust you. And then Leo's like, cool. Kind of shows a little bit of his different personalities through this scene. So they're outside, and Leo's explaining to Harp that he chose him, that he wasn't assigned to him. He chose him to work together because he could think outside the box. They banter back and forth for a little bit, and Leo tells Harp, he gives him the bags and says, go ahead and load up. Our Jeep's over there. And as he's going towards the Jeep, he gets attacked by the Marines that were in the team from the beginning of the movie.
And they put a whopping on his boy.
Oh, yeah.
They throw some haymakers right at his stomach. Boom, bam, boom, right at his chest. And the commanding officer, Rattlesnake, comes up and goes, yeah, man, those were my men. Right? So, off the bat, even though he's here at this base, he's not the most popular guy on this base right now.
So Leo walks up and just kind of stares them down. They pack up and they move on. Leo and Harp get in the convoy, and they start heading out from the base. I like to point out too that that's actually a Toyota they're driving. It's not a Jeep like they call it in the movie.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, did they not get the green light from Jeep to go ahead and do that? Go ahead and just use an actual Jeep instead of a Toyota, but whatever.
Yeah. So the convoy's leaving the base. Once they get beyond the wire, they are in the gauntlet. They said the Marines refer to this as running the gauntlet because there's no laws, there's no rules. You could get attacked at any time. It's basically a free-for-all out here.
And you can immediately see Leo is training Harp right there for field combat, telling him to get his gun up, his rifle, because you don't know what's going to happen. And through some good banter between the two, find out that Leo is actually 5 years old.
Yeah. We also find out that Harp's fiance calls him Gummy Bear, which links back to the fact that he liked to eat gummy bears, I assume.
While he's bombing people, yeah.
Yeah. So as they're coming up close to a town, they hear on the radio that there's been an aid truck hit, and they start heading that way, and it's actually blocking their pathway as well.
Right, so this is the first drop outside the wire. The military approaches. People are really aggressive. It looks like they're trying to get supplies out of this convoy. Tensions start flaring. The military and these townspeople, they're just pointing guns at each other. Everybody's aiming down the barrel. And Leo just kind of steps forward and calms the situation down, right? Tensions are hot, and he definitely brings everybody back down to a zero. And then you can see more of this on-the-job training from Leo to Harp about how he needs to proceed in situations like this.
So once Leo makes the deal, he gives the locals the supplies off the truck in exchange for letting them get through with the vaccines they need to get to the hospital. And as they're packing up and getting ready to move, they get ambushed by what they refer to as the Krosnies.
And you can see a humongous gunfight starts breaking out between these snipers that are in all these buildings, the townspeople, the military, the Gumps. Everybody's basically dropping bodies and bullets and everything. It's a really cool scene.
We should get to see the Gumps doing their thing in this scene as well for the first time, really. They got grenade launchers,
boom,
weapons, just doing everything.
And we go back to Harp, and he's hiding behind the Jeep, and he's scared for his life.
Oh, yeah. He's freaking out.
In a situation like this. He's almost hyperventilating, having an anxiety attack. You can tell that. And you see that, the plan is for most of the military and the Gumps that are there is to continue with this fight, but Leo and Harp to continue to deliver the vaccines. And that's exactly what they do. Leo basically picks up Harp, gets him out of there, and they get out of that firefight.
So now they're on foot, making their way to the camp that they're going to. And they start talking a little bit about what Leo's capable of. He tells Harp that he can empathize, that he feels pain. That's what helps him connect with humans. And as they're walking, they stumble across this hole where they see some executed bodies just out there decomposing. They've been out there for a while. Kind of strikes Harp in a weird way, and Leo sees them and says, "Come on, let's get going. We need to keep moving."
And they continue to move, and Leo and Harp eventually end up at the hospital, and they deliver the vaccines. So we kind of see this shady character moving in the background.
Yeah.
Setting up at like a sniper rifle, point blank, and the sniper just starts shooting into the hospital with all these people. Luckily, Leo's there, shoots the sniper and start his interrogation techniques. I call this some Jack Bauer style shit, guys. He shoots him in the neck, right? Not for him to die, but for him to start bleeding out. And then, disgusting, Leo takes his thumb and puts it into this gunshot hole. And dude is just screaming like, it's some straight 24 Jack Bauer shit from the early 2000s. It was disgusting.
So he doesn't say nothing to him, as one of these soldiers would. They just keep their mouth shut. And he leaves them there for the locals to take out, start beating the guy as Leo and Harp are walking away.
And as they walk away, you definitely start seeing the tension rise between Leo and Harp. Harp is not understanding. Harp is like, we need to call this in. We got to get the military here. What are we doing? And Leo is like, no, simple as that. No, we have a mission. We got to go do this mission. Basically, get in this damn convoy. And Harp is also like, no, I'm good to go. Leo goes, all right, well, you'll walk back. A few moments later, we see that Harp's ass is in the convoy.
Yeah, he knew what was up if he took that walk. So they're cruising in the back of the truck, heading to the next place. They have a little heart-to-heart here in the back, and some things get a little heated. But Leo tells him, shake my hand. Harp shakes Leo's hand, and he says, what do you feel? He says, it feels warm. Feels like a human hand. He says, what about my arms? He said, no, it feels like cold and steel. He said, I'm made to do my job. The reason I'm built is to do this job. This is what I'm built for. Then we arrive at the next compound, which is an orphanage.
Yeah, so this opens up where they go behind this gate and they see all these kids playing, having a good time. Some are at like a water fountain, some are playing soccer, some are playing some pickup stick game. And we see Leo actually walk over to the children who are playing this pickup stick game. He starts playing with them and then enters this woman. We come to find out this is Sophia, and she's the actual person who provides them intel.
Leo and Sophia are talking, and they start talking about these missile codes, and they're held up in a vault somewhere, but they don't know where they're at. And this is what Leo wants to get his hands on, so that Koval can't, and he can't send off these missiles.
And right before they go to meet this arms dealer, so this arms dealer can tell them where these codes are, Leo hands Sophia a wad of cash, and Harp is dumbfounded, thinking that Leo just paid somebody for weapons, and that's not a military thing to do.
Yeah.
And this is a cool scene because Harp starts to fully understand that war, being on the front lines, dealing with these different people and all these war zones, everything's not black and white.
Right.
Everything is not like basic training and what you're taught. You're going to have to understand and learn how to bend the rules to get what you want sometime for success.
He also starts to understand that there's consequences to his actions.
Yeah.
Sophia tells him, these orphans aren't here just because of the civil war that's going on. It's because of the bombs. It's because of the war that they're bringing that's destroying homes and things like that.
So Sophia takes Leo and Harp to go see this underground arms dealer right off the bat. As soon as they introduce this guy, ass whooping start happening, guys. Leo starts fighting.
Ass whooping cans popping off everywhere.
Everywhere, right? This
Everywhere.
better scenes in the movie. Really cool, like hand combat gunfighting techniques and everything happening.
Oh, yeah.
They eventually get to the arms dealer and get the intel that they need to find Koval. And as Harp and Leo walk away, it's actually Sophia who takes a gun and shoots the underground arms dealer and kills him.
So we see Harp and Leo, they're on their way to this bank. They took the drug dealer's Escalade, and they're cruising down the road. And we start seeing some more of Leo's plan and what he's been doing to Harp this whole time, as far as getting him to actually help Leo with what he wants. He's there for a very specific reason, and he starts to kind of explain that here. So Harp is able to follow these leads, and that kind of helps Leo skirt around the orders he's been given. It helps him think on his own a little bit more if he's got somebody else who can skirt around those lines as well as a human.
Yeah, and this is a really cool scene where you see a lot of drawback to what happened earlier. Leo asks, "Do you trust me?" He says, "Yes." All this programming that is happening, we find out that it's actually Harp who is the one that could be in charge, but he's not. As an android, Leo is supposed to follow his command, but Leo is skirting around that, and Harp is fully understanding now he could have been in charge the whole damn time, but is not.
So they get close to the bank and they stop, and Leo asks Harps to cut a tracker out of his back because the Russians can tell where he's at and see him coming. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break.
Hey guys, while we're on this break, we wanted to take a moment and let you know we are on social media.
We are working on our Movie in a Pod YouTube page and working on getting some great guests on the pod in the future episodes.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Movie in a Pod.
Take a moment and check us out.
Yeah, so Javi, this YouTube page, what are we expecting with that?
First off, we're expecting a live commercial.
Ooh, people do love live commercials.
Hopefully in the future, putting up our podcast as a video so we can show off our beautiful faces.
Man, I got to get a haircut then, brother. I've been having this COVID hair for almost a year now.
Starting to get my curly Q going on over here.
It means I got to get to the barber.
What should our listeners expect from our social media pages?
We want to talk about movies. We want to know what movies are in theaters. Not right now. We want to talk about what movies are on Netflix, HBO Max, and the whole shebang-a-bang. I want to talk about all the movies from the past, all the great movies that are coming up. I want to know who your favorite director is. I want to know who your favorite writer is. That's how I want to engage with our listeners. Once again, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Movie in a Pod.
Mics are hot. Let's go.
And we're back, guys. So we left off with Harp and Leo. They have to make their way inside this bank so they can find Koval and get these nuclear arms codes. And as soon as they get into the bank, they see some hostages, and a humongous gunfight occurs and breaks out. It's a reoccurring theme in an action movie, guys. There will be gunfights.
A lot of them.
And there's an abundance in this movie. So we see the civilians, and it's Harp's job to get them out. And we see Leo in these snapshots, and he's just whooping ass, taking names. And then we see a Russian Gump. Remember, we saw these American Gumps where they are these robotic machines or robotic soldiers who's helping out the Marines. And we find there's Russian ones as well. Leo, in regular fashion, whoops ass and takes names. Shrapnel, Russian Gump ass everywhere. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. This is a fun scene to watch. Anthony Mackie definitely brings it with the action in this scene.
Definitely. So Harp radios Eckhart to get a drone strike ready. He wants to take out Koval and the missile codes and all that at the same time. So we find out here after the fighting's all done and we're right to the final countdown of this drone strike, we see Leo dumping that was supposedly a tracker on the top of the building. So when the drone strike goes off, the military believes that Koval and Leo were killed in the explosion.
And this is cool because it's almost a reverse scene from the beginning. Harp is now on the ground where this drone strike is about to happen. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And there's absolutely nothing that he can do about it. There's actually a young woman who is kind of pinned behind this car, and instead of running away as fast as he can, he actually goes back in and saves her. And they just get out of the blast radius of this drone strike.
He gets a close-up view of the catastrophic outcome of dropping a bomb. You know, it's not just military here, it's civilians, it's everybody around that has their lives destroyed from that.
You know, he has probably saw it his whole military career almost like a video game, per se.
Yeah, he just sees the mushroom cloud.
Exactly. You know, then he gets to go eat gummy bears and goes home for the day. But, you know, being up there and in the blast radius right outside of it, it's real deal. He's in it.
So Leo is alive. Him and Harp end up back in the car together. Harp talks to Leo and says, where does your programming tell you to stop? What draws the line in your programming that you're doing something bad, that you're disobeying orders, that you're doing this, that, or the other, and going against the military commands? So they start talking, and he says, you know, it's a command paradox. You know, I follow you, you follow me. And this whole time with Leo making Harp make these decisions and deciding to do this to help him, that he's actually showed impaired judgment, which makes Leo be able to relinquish that programming in him that says he has to listen to a human. He's to the point to where he can make his own decisions now. That program has been disabled.
So it's interesting, right? Leo has always seemed like he's self-aware. He's warm. He's friendly, listens to classical music, but he's a soldier at the same exact time. So just the fact that he needed this order type paradox thing that they say to really go rogue and do what he wants to do is just an interesting plot twist in the movie. Hart basically freaks out about this, thinking that knows now that he is the reason why he's been chosen and the reason why Leo's doing what he's doing. He's behind everything unknowingly.
So they start arguing a little bit, and Leo hits Harp in the head and knocks him out. Harp wakes up on the side of the road, and he's looking around, and this truck pulls up. Some guys get out, and they take him. He ends up back at the Resistance with Sophia for an interrogation. While he's with Sophia, Leo's made it to Koval. He's met up with Koval now, and they're talking about the codes and what they're going to do with these codes.
And this is cool because they go back and forth between these two scenes that almost seems like they're happening at the same exact time, right?
Right.
Harp and Sophia is having this conversation about Leo's directive and what he's actually doing. Leo and Koval finally meet, at least on screen here, and we see that they have actually been working together on this the whole time. Going back and forth, you see the full picture, right? Sophia is a part of the resistance. Her and her faction is fighting Koval and the Krasnys, and Leo is playing both sides. At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah, so Sophia starts to explain that, Leo sees what he believes is the problem with the whole situation of the war, which was the U.S. military. So his objective is turned to, now we got to stop the U.S. military because they're the ones actually causing the war in Russia. While that's going on with Sophia and Harp, Leo and Koval are talking about kind of the same thing, and Leo's trying to get control of those codes from Koval. Koval doesn't want to give it to him, so he kills everybody.
And
my God. And takes the codes.
Oh my gosh. Man, this is, you always want to pick out a favorite sequence or like a favorite scene in the movie. This is it for me because Leo just goes ape shit on all of Koval's men. Every single one of them.
Some great choreography in this scene, man. The way he's moving and the stunts they pull through this little scene here is fantastic.
And I have to give it up for movies like John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
Because those fight coordinators have now gone on to do other movies and everything. But that style of gunfighting, with your whole body, with the guns and just the way you move and disarm other people, you see that in this scene. And it's just fun to watch. Even the way that he takes out the female guard, he does not care. He does not care.
Yeah, my favorite part of this scene is when he goes through the windows of the SUV.
Yeah.
God. It's fantastic.
So we also see back with Harp and Sophia that Sophia explains, and Harp starts to realize war is big business for the United States, right? And why would the United States actually want this war to end? They get to create all this good tech. They get to create these gumps, and that's just income for the United States. So he's starting to realize war is not all it's cracked out to be. The military is not all what it's cracked out to be.
So Sophia releases Harp. He ends up making it back to the military base. And we see him with Eckhart and Rattlesnake. Harp's catching them up on what's going on with Leo and where his head's at and what he's up to right now. They got a lot of banter back and forth. They all come to the conclusion that, they got to stop Leo, or they at least got to make sure that this plan is 100% what's happening before they pull out all the stops on him.
Harp tells them that it was him who pulled out the tracker in Leo's back. His commanding officers get a little upset about that. And then Harp remembers that they took the arms dealer's vehicle that they've been tracking for months.
So he makes a call to his former partner in the drone program, Bale. He calls her and she finds a drone in the area and finds the SUV. And then Harp volunteers to track Leo and follow him to wherever he's going.
Yeah, it's Harp. This is a man who has been basically playing military video games his whole career, gets into the front lines with Leo, but has been protected by Leo this whole time, and understands that this is his fault. As much as he knows that or not, or knew that at the time or not, makes the call that he's the one that's going to go after Leo and try to stop him from setting this nuke off.
Yeah, he admits right to Eckhart's face that he messed up, or he effed up.
Yeah. A lot of F-bombs in this movie.
Yeah, a lot. So Harp gets to basically looks like a power plant where Leo is at, where he tracked him to. And there's hidden silos in this place that house missiles.
This is cool because once the drone is over this kind of power plant compound type thing, you can see Eckhart back at base like, man, we flew over this a million times and did not know this is where Russia had one of the other nukes, right?
Right.
Going to show, in the real world, nukes can be anywhere. So it's kind of scary.
We flash to Harp making his way through this compound, and he's following a trail of dead bodies. A lot of dead bodies.
Dude, there's dead bodies everywhere. Where I like this direction where we could have definitely seen Leo just take out all these guys. We already know that he is super fast, super strong android who can whip ass and take names. But just to see the aftermath, I think that was a great direction and see it from the eyes of Harp. And Harp's like, oh shit, like, what the hell am I doing here? This is not good. But he continues.
He's going through the stairway. He's going up a few levels, still following trail of dead bodies. And then we flash over to Leo, who's prepping these codes. So it's not like an actual code you press into a pen pad. It's almost like a USB type situation that he puts together that actually holds the codes itself. So he gets this little canister prepped and he heads over to the silo where he gets ready to activate the missiles. And this is where Harp's finally sneaking up on him and following him to where he's at. Then Leo comes out of nowhere and pins Harp up against the wall.
Starts choking the shit out of him.
Then they go back and forth a little bit. Harp tells him, you can't do this. You're going to kill all these people. And Leo says, that's funny coming from a guy who sacrificed 2 to save 38 people. Harp says, well, you're going to kill millions. And Leo says, well, I'm going to save 100 million. And Harp shoots Leo in the body a few times and slows him down a little bit. Leo chokes out Harp in the process of all this.
Puts the sleeper on him. So as Leo goes to finish putting together the codes into this missile and the launch happens, you can see Eckhart just yelling at him through this headset, going, hey, man, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We see that this thing is powering up and booting up.
Yeah.
Harp eventually gets back up and starts shooting Leo with these armor-piercing rounds. Once again, he's an android. He's not like the Terminator. He can feel this. That's how he's programmed. And
he still kind of got skin, like android skin instead of human skin. So Harp shoots him about 10-ish times in the chest with those incendiary rounds. Nuke's been activated. There's a 5-minute counter. Movie fashion, Leo start to explain his full plan and the reasonings behind all this stuff he's been doing to get to this point.
And we see Leo's whole plan, his whole purpose behind having Harp there, working with Sophia, infiltrating Koval and the Krasnys, and killing Koval as he did it with that flagpole. That was kind of crazy.
Dope.
Right? And his whole plan is to prevent more war. If the U.S. and Russia and all these other superpowers continue down they go, more people are going to die. There's going to be more androids and more gumps just making all this collateral damage, i.e. us, human beings. And we're just going to continue to die as they keep earning money off of deaths. And that's his whole purpose, that he wants to be the first and the last of his kind.
So after that, Harp calls the DA-1 off the rail from the drone. So he wants to stop the nukes and he wants to destroy Leo at that point. Missile launches, levels the place. We got a few, little bit of time. We don't know, what the outcome of this is, if Harp made it out or not. Then we see him strolling down the road, heading back to base.
Yeah, man. We see Harp cruising, and Eckhart even says, hey, return to base. You saved the day. Takes off his earpiece and closes out.
And that was Outside the Wire.
Yeah, man. Javi, this movie, I know Netflix is doing this, dropping a new movie every Friday. I think this was their first or second one. At least the first one that caught our attention.
Right.
What'd you think about this movie?
I enjoyed it. The fight scenes were fun. Anthony Mackie, just whenever I watch him, it don't matter. Even his interviews, he's just so fun to watch. I enjoyed the movie. I actually gave it a 3 out of 5 on this one.
Oh, yeah.
I might watch it a couple more times, but it wasn't special enough to where I could say it's going to be my favorite movie going forward, but it did its thing.
I'm going to agree with you here. I'm also going to give it 3 buckets of popcorn out of 5. I love anything Anthony Mackie does. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, he's definitely up and coming, one of my favorite actors, especially because he wants to cut the check, right? His tagline. This movie itself, it's nothing that we haven't seen before, right? There's a couple of tailspins and plot twists that was interesting and refreshing, but nothing out of the normal that we haven't seen before. I think the 2 coolest things I get from this movie is the maturation of Harp as this video game player, basically playing Call of Duty Warzone, to being on the front lines and actually doing it himself, right? and then just seeing all these amazing fight scenes. And, you know, the big gunfight scenes between the two military factions, those are good. But what's best is just Anthony Mackie being Anthony Mackie, whooping ass and taking names, man. That's why I enjoyed this movie, and this movie gets 3 buckets out of 5.
If it was just based on Anthony, he'd get 10 buckets.
Oh man, just let me see a straight movie with just him as Leo whooping ass and taking names just for 2 hours, definitely.
Hell yeah!
All right, guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of Movie in a Pod. I am Clyde Smith. You can find me on Twitter as I am Clyde D. Smith.
I am Javier Villalobos. You can find me at Mr. J8200.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Hello, it's Brooke Devard from Naked Beauty. Join me each week for unfiltered discussion about beauty trends, self-care journeys, wellness tips, and the products we absolutely love and cannot get enough of. If you are a skincare obsessive and you spend 20 plus minutes on your skincare routine, this podcast is for you. Or if you're a newbie at the beginning of your skincare journey, you'll love this podcast as well because we go so much deeper than beauty. I talk to incredible and inspiring people from across industries about their relationship with beauty. You'll also hear from skincare experts. We break down lots of myths in the beauty industry. If this sounds like your thing, search for Naked Beauty on your podcast app and listen along. I hope you'll join us.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
This season on The Dream.
Supplies are being provided by nurses who run out in the middle of the night and purchase diapers. But the hospital is still charging as if they still have these items.
We are digging into every topic we've ever wanted to cover on this show.
It's a spinning plate analogy. The second that you stop spinning those plates, that crashes. So you can never stop working.
The Dream Season 4 comes at you weekly starting Monday, January 20th.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.